I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, a Yankee Doodle do or die. Diane, why are you singing Yankee Doodle Dandy and wearing that hat? Because the Supreme Court has ruled. And we're going to talk about Yankee Doodle Dandy, obstruction of justice, and why you need to keep business records. Hi, I'm Diane Haggerty, Grassroots Taxes, and we're talking about Supreme Court case that was ruled actually in 2018. Not so recent, but I think it's relevant because a lot of people ask me this question. How long do I need to keep my business records? Do I need to keep business records? What business records do I need to keep? And that all goes back to Yankee Doodle Dandy. Let's talk about it. The court case we're talking about today is Marinello versus the United States. This was ruled on March 21st of 2018. So how did we get to Yankee Doodle Dandy? Yankee Doodle Dandy was written by a guy named George M. Cohan. If you're older than me, you probably know who he is. If you're younger than me, maybe you don't, but you probably know songs like Yankee Doodle Dandy and You're a Grand Old Flag, You're a High Flying Flag, and Over There, right? World War I, okay? He wrote a lot of World War I songs. They are all in the public domain, which is why I can sing them on this channel, because they're public domain songs. Anyway, George M. Cohan wrote more songs than Taylor Swift. Well, maybe not, but I mean, he wrote a lot of songs. Well, he was, wealthy, and he traveled around a lot. He spent a lot of money, but what he was really bad at, just like most musicians, really bad at keeping records. Yes, artists are always bad at keeping records. The IRS audited George M. Cohan in the 1930s, and they said, George, where's your business records? And he's like, I'm supposed to keep that stuff? What? So he went to tax, well, he didn't have tax court back then, but he went to court, and, his lawyers argued, and everybody worked on it. And guess what? He won, because they let him deduct a reasonable amount that would have had to have been spent. Even though he didn't have any records, it's obvious he was flying from this place to this place and driving from this place to this place and incurring expenses, so they had to allow something. They couldn't allow zero, but they had to allow something. So George M. Cohan won against the IRS, and it's now called the Cohan Rule. The Cohan Rule, right? Okay. So in 1962, they changed the Cohan Rule, and you cannot use travel, entertainment, or gifts. You have to absolutely have every single receipt and be able to prove all of your travel. Other things, they have to allow you something, but they're generally not very generous. The Cohan Rule is not something you want to rely on for your small business. You absolutely want to have all your receipts. Now, let's talk about Marinello versus the U.S. This is the case they ruled on in 2018. Marinello was audited from 2004 to 2009. The IRS audited him, requested records, and he was just like, nope. Figure it out. I'll pay what you tell me to pay. I'm not telling you. I'm not cooperating. I am not giving you any records. You want to subpoena my bank, get records from them? Great. But apparently, I'm assuming there was a lot of cash that they couldn't trace. Because, they can pull your bank records, they can subpoena stuff. So it's like, if you're hiding money and income, if it's all in cash, it's kind of hard to catch. And, we're talking 2004 to 2009. It was rough. It wasn't as easy. Everybody didn't have cell phones and didn't have online banking on their phone and stuff. A little harder to get the records. So the IRS decided he was obstructing justice. He was absolutely not cooperating, and they indicted him, and then they got an indictment on obstruction of justice, charged him with a felony. Well, he's like, it's not a felony, it's not obstruction of justice. I am just not giving them things I don't want to give them. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I'm not going to give them. I'll pay whatever they tell me to pay, but I'm not cooperating. How is that an obstruction of justice? Well, that went all the way to Supreme Court. 2018 they ruled. How'd they rule? They ruled for the guy who wouldn't cooperate. They ruled for the IRS. They ruled for the guy. It's not a felony. If you refuse to cooperate with the IRS and provide them any records, and they say this is the tax you owe and you pay it, That's all we can do. All we can do is all we can do. They can't charge you with a felony and throw you in jail for refusing to cooperate. Now, that's an interesting case, and that's a precedent. That's a Supreme Court case you rely on. Am I telling you not to keep records and rely on the Cohen rule and the graciousness of the IRS to not throw you in jail for not cooperating? No, I'm telling you not to do that. No, you absolutely need to cooperate, keep good records, and prove everything. You're going to come out way further ahead, showing your income and showing all your expenses than playing some game trying to hide from the IRS. However, if trouble hits and it's already done, you need to call. That would be me. I can help you out. And you know what? I know I'll see you tax time.